This is applications of polynomial functions. Will, be quiet. Part 1. Here we go. We're recording. We're live. So anything you say now can and will be used against you. This next thing is really important. This is called the zero product property. Okay? And this is basically how you solve equations. I'm doing this actually today in my advanced pre-calc class, except we're doing higher power equations. But what the zero product property says is if A times B equals 0, then either A equals 0 or B equals 0, right? Because the only way this thing is going to be 0 is if one of those two things is equal to 0. So when you do this, you use this to solve equations, yes?
Would it be possible for both A and B to be equal to 0?
Yeah, A and B can both be equal to 0. Yeah. So when you're solving these equations, actually, Jessica, A and B are, you do set A and B equal to 0. Okay? So what you do, with the way I always teach this, is if this thing is equal to 0, then either x plus 3 is equal to 0 or x minus 4 is equal to 0. And what I usually tell students to do, I draw a little squiggly line down in between those two factors. Those are called factors. Okay? And then and then I solve two separate equations. I say either x plus 3 is equal to 0 or x minus 4 is equal to 0. What would make this equal to 0? What would make x plus 3? 3? Negative 3. Okay? So if you want, you could do the algebra. You could subtract 3 from both sides, or you could just look at it and say, well, the only thing that's going to make that 0 is x equals negative 3. What's going to make this one 0? 4, right? And so you can add 4 to both sides, if you will, and you get x equals 4. And that's how the zero product property works. Okay? So let's let you guys try to solve this one. So you're solving a system of
P equals 2.5 and P equals negative 7.
That's exactly right. Okay? So so you go 2p minus 5 equals 0. If you want to do the steps, you add 5 to both sides. You should really do the steps on this one, okay? Which gives you 2p equals 5. Then divide by 2, divide by 2. P equals 5. You could just leave it as 5 over 2, which is equal to 2.5. Over here, it's a little bit easier. P plus 7 equals 0. So subtract 7, P equals negative 7. Is that hard? That's not too hard, right? Okay. However, then it gets harder. I'm sorry. Always does, right? So the next thing that you have to do is using the same property. Well, I wanted to put that in a new page. I didn't want to. Let's go back. Let's, how do I do that? Place capture in new page. That's what I mean. So if I have ones like this, I have to factor them first. Okay? So in this one, I'm just going to look at this specific problem. Who can tell me how that one factors? What two numbers multiply to 7 and add to 8? 1 and 7. So this is why we learned, this is the whole reason we learned to factor, is to apply the zero product property. Okay, so then you go W plus 7 times W plus 1, and you set that equal to 0. What's going to make this equal to 0? What are the two values? What's going to make
7, negative 1.
Yeah, either W equals negative 7 or W equals negative 1. So those are your two answers to that one. Okay, so in that case, first you have to factor it, then you have to do it. Okay, you try. Phew, try. And I gave you bonus points. People have been participating, so I'm going to give Will Ponder a bonus point. And let's see who could get this one. Okay. Mandy Castro has her hand up. So does Jessica. Wait, I gotta get my pencil. My pencil's not writing. It's out of juice. Go ahead, Will Ponder. Let's see if Mandy Castro can tell us the answer. Where's my board? There it is. Okay, Mandy, how do you factor that first of all?
So wouldn't you have to find two numbers?
Right? Well, yeah, you'd have to find two numbers that multiply to 20 and add to negative 12. Did you figure out what those two numbers were?
Negative 2 and
Negative 2, perfect, and negative 10. So that means that factors to r minus 10 times r minus 2. And what are your two answers?
R equals 2 and R equals 10.
Yep, r equals 10 and r equals 2. You got it. All right?
You wrote 10 for both.
Oh, that's because I'm a little senile. All right. There you go. Okay? What's wrong, Ian?
Oh, nothing, sorry.
It looks like 18.
Your R's kind of look like T's.
Oh, sorry.
Well, the one on the right doesn't even look like an R. It looks like a greater or less than sign.
Yeah.
Well, hooey on you then. All right.
It looks like a. Yeah.
Like they write real clear.
Yeah.
I've seen
So,
their guys' handwriting.
So, just so you know, these ones are really easy. These next two,
Developers class.
place, capture, new page. These ones. Uh-oh, it didn't work. Well, there. Place, capture, and new page. So these ones are all really easy because they're already set up for you. All right. So with this one, all you have to do, it's already factored out. Right. So if you see something like this, all you do, you draw a little squiggly line like this, and you say either this is going to make equal to 0, or this is going to make it equal to 0. So you say either 9t equals 0, or 2t plus 1 equals 0. What's going to make this equal to 0 in this case? 0, right? In this case, I would divide both sides by 9. Okay? Divide by 9, and 0 divided by 9 is just 0. That goes away. And I get t equals 0. In this case, I have to subtract 1. I get 2t equals negative 1. Divide by 2, divide by 2. I get t, not 2. T equals negative 1. All right. So your turn. Give that one fighting chance. Do we have a lot more after this? Yeah. Where's my pause button? Pause. Draw a little squiggly line down here. Okay. 3y equals 0. 2y minus 5 equals 0. So y equals 0. And here I would have to add 5, divide by 2, whoops, and I get 2y equals 5, y equals 5 over 2, okay? I want to give you some time also to work, so, but I do want to show you different types of things you're going to see, okay? So, I'm just going to do an example for each one rather than have you guys do all these. So like this one over here, partial over here, the first thing you have to do with one of these is, in fact, you always should factor it. to solve it. So in this one, what can I pull out of both of these? 3, but also a z, okay? So this becomes 5z minus 4, right? Equals 0. And then you draw your little squiggly line, and you get your 3z equals 0, z equals 0. Here you get 5z minus 4 equals 0, 5z equals 4, z equals 4 over 5. That's how you do that kind of problem. Do you understand? You're looking confused. Ian.
Oh, no, I got it. Sorry.
You got it? Okay. So if you see one like that, which you will, that's the way you do it. But what's like over here, you got to be careful. Okay? And people still make this same mistake in my pre-calc class. And in Algebra 2, they make this same mistake. So in order for the zero product property to work, you have to have a 0 on the right side. Okay? So before you factor it, you have to get the right side equal to 0. So how would I get the right side equal to 0 over here?
-28.
You have to subtract 28 first. Okay, so you got to get that 28 onto the other side. So now I have t squared minus 3t minus 28 equals 0, and then I factor that. Who can factor that without even using the cross or box? What does that factor to?
No,
What's wrong? Yes.
So, how do we know when you want us to make it 0? Like, will you
Always. You can't factor it. You can't use the zero product property unless it's equal to 0 on the right-hand side. Okay?
How do I know? Like, just solve the algebra equation? Or solve it to 0?
Because there's no other way to solve. So like, you can't solve this any
So if
other
you're
way.
factoring, it has to be 0.
If you're factoring, it has to be 0 on the right-hand side. Okay? What numbers multiply -28 and add to it -3?
-7 and 4.
Meadow knows. What, Meadow? -7 and positive 4, right? So -7 positive 4, so you get t minus 7, t plus 4 equals 0. Now I can do my little squiggly line. Now I get t equals 7, or t equals -3. Okay? Here, you can try this one. You try. You try. So you got to get the 8x onto the left-hand side block.
X minus 4 times x minus 4.
Yeah, so first of all, you got to get that 8x onto the other side, right? So when I bring the 8x over to the other side, you get x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals 0. And Jessica said,
Sorry, I wanted it fast.
go ahead,
You get x minus 4 times x minus 4.
x minus 4 times x minus 4. Two numbers that add to -8 and multiply to 16 equals 0. And then you draw your leg, and the only thing x can be is 4, okay? X equals 4. So you don't have to write it twice, just once is good. And that's how you do that one. Way to go. Okay, let's keep working with these. Sorry there's so many examples, but that's how we got to do it. What's next? Solve for these. If you see one like, oh, then it gets really ugly. Not too ugly. Partial. So this one, how do I get everything on the left-hand side? Subtract. So I get z squared minus 25 equals 0. You've seen this one before. What two numbers multiply to -25 and add to 0?
-5 and 5.
-5 and 5. Z, whoops, z, not x, right? Z, that's a z. Can you tell that's a z? No, me neither. I'm getting sloppy. Okay. So you get z minus 5, z plus 5 equals 0, or squiggly line, z equals 5, or x, I wrote z, or z equals -5. Now with this one, if just when it's in this form, another way you can do it is by taking the square root of both sides. If I square root both sides, I get z equals, well, you have to remember that negative 5 times negative 5 will give you 25, and positive 5 times positive 5 equals 25. So if you do just take the square root of both sides, you have to remember that there's a plus 5 or negative 5, because negative 5 times negative 5 gives you 25, and 5 times 5 gives you 25. But I would just do it this way, because otherwise you'll forget, like half of my pre-calc class did on the last test, because they got 5 points, the question was worth 5 points, and the day after a lot of work they ended up with something like y squared equals 4, and all of them gave me the answer y equals 2, okay, or half of them. They should have had y equals 2 or y equals negative 2, and I took off half the point. So you got to be careful, because there's 2 answers to this problem. So I would just do it this way. This is kind of the shortcut way. Who can do this in your head? Raise your hand. Tell me. Go ahead, Adam.
It's q minus 8, q plus 8, q
Right.
equals 8, or q equals negative 8.
Very good. Okay. So if I subtracted 64, I get q squared, and then q minus 8, q plus 8, right? And you get squiggly q equals 8 or q equals negative 8. All right? That's a little bit more trickier there. Not really. Oh, Jessica, I got a point. Johnson. Okay. And next to last thing. Last thing. I think we'll skip the back. I think. Oh no. Do we have to do these too?
We don't.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. You might run into them. I'll just set them up. I won't do them. But I do want to do this last one. Where'd we go? Back to page 1. Okay. So if you see one of these guys right here, okay? Uh-oh. What was that? Was that someone's phone making noises? If you see one of these guys, these involve a couple more steps, okay? Because you can't just, well, you can add 5 to both sides, but then you're going to have something that looks like that. So you cannot say, what you cannot do is say that y plus 4 equals negative 5 and y minus 2 equals negative 5. That will give you the wrong answer. So you can only use the zero product property. So what you have to do is FOIL this first, okay? This times this. First terms gives you y squared. Outer terms gives you negative 2y. Inner terms gives you plus 4y. Last terms give you minus 8. And then I combine my like terms. Y squared plus 2y minus 8 equals negative 5. Now I'm not done. What do I have to do with that negative 5? Huh? I need to bring it over onto this side. So now I add 5 to both sides. Now I get y squared plus 2y minus 3 equals 0. And then I have to factor that to, who knows? Right? What goes there? What numbers multiply to negative 3 and add to 2? 3 and 1. Which is negative, which is positive? No, 1 is negative, right? Okay? So you get y minus 1. Y equals y plus 3, squiggly line. And you get y equals 1 or y equals negative 3. So, see, and if 1. So you couldn't really use that, like if I tried to say, oh, y is you can't just solve this thing and say y plus 4 equals negative 5 in the beginning, because that won't lead you to the right answer, right? Because if I plug in 1 in here, I get out 1 plus 4 is positive 5, doesn't work, okay? So these are your two answers, this and this. Let's try, you try this one, and then we'll let you work. I didn't tell you how to do this one. Those of you in my viewing audience, I know people are logging in today just to watch me and hear my dynamic teaching, but this is how you do this one. What's the previous one? This one, domain over here, I didn't talk about. Domain is 4 or negative 1, and that's it. Remember, you heard it here on roller derby.